Yeah, I love that. So just hopping in there, or before I say this, would you say that building the business, staying focused and building the business, hopping from multiple sources of activity, that it creates opportunity and bypasses the actual the feeling or the need that you have to be patient because you're always working? Is it like a way of bypassing the quote unquote, hey, be patient, just be patient, trust the process? Trusting the process is actually doing what you just said, building the business, multiple streams of activity. What would you say that that's the answer, or do you have something else? What was the process that you went through? And I'm grateful for everything that you shared with the listening audience today.
I would definitely say that's a big part of it, if not the part of it, because, when people say trust the process, or God gives you opportunities, He doesn't want you to just sit on your hands and do nothing. We're called to work. Like, we're called to be involved in that process. And I think folks, like myself, yourself, people listening here, like we want to push, right? We want to push a little bit, and not in a bad way, but meaning we want to create opportunities, not just for ourselves, but we know that if we create the opportunity, if we create the speaking engagement, if we create good content, that's going to help a lot of people, and it's going to help ourselves grow too. So I know if I can get out there and speak to 30 schools, that's awesome, right? That's awesome. That's better. And if I had 10, that's cool too. But 20 more is even better, because if I have 100 people in the audience, do the math on an extra 20 schools. That's a lot of people. I'll reach out to past clients I've spoken to. I may have spoke to their teachers one year, and then I'll reach back out and say, I would love to do something with your students now, like a student assembly. Great. As I booked a few of those, and now you add in 600 students, that I'm getting a chance to speak in front of, and that is a huge, huge opportunity there. So that's why I just feel like, if you keep yourself looking for the opportunity and creating your own way there, that is your process. And you can trust that process, because you're in it. Like, you're in that process. And the only thing you have to trust, though, is when there's things beyond your control. So once I pitch a school or pitch a principal for a speaking engagement or something, there's not a whole much else I can do, right? Once it's in their hands, they have to decide budget, time, is it worth it, whatever the case is. I can't do that process. I have to trust, and there's not a lot I can do there. And that's where patience comes into play. But I always say, listen, I've been fed well these past, decade or so, being able to travel and create content and speak. And that, what I have to trust is that part will continue, as long as I'm willing to also put in the work to continue reaching out to clients, developing new content, and being as genuine as I can at managing those relationships over all these years. So
I love that. So got a few more things I'm thinking about too, but going back a little bit, trying to keep up with you, man. You got so much goodness coming out right now. It's like so much. So, but going back just a little bit, when the opportunity knocks on your door, right? Or actually you made this opportunity. I think that that's really important for all of us to be able to understand, for the audience to be able to understand. It's like that sometimes people, they believe that an opportunity is like this external thing. You have to wait for it. But when you develop the understanding of momentum, it's like a football player. A football player has to learn that they have to create the momentum within inside themselves. Like, nobody's just going to run out there and catch a ball if there's nobody throwing it, and nobody's going to just throw a ball to someone who's not there. So there has to be like this integral working thought process that I am going to run as hard and as fast as I can, irrespective of the defense, and I am going to. And my intention is that when I get to the place that I'm supposed to be at, the ball will be there. And the quarterback has to think that I am going to avoid being sacked at all costs, and that when I get ready to look up for someone to catch this ball, I'm going to have 3 or 4 different options, and I'm going to make sure the ball is there. And so, like, we as people have to understand, in order for us to really receive that opportunity, we have to either be the person that is going to throw the ball, or we have to be the person that's going to catch the ball. But we have to absolutely prime ourselves to be ready for it, whichever one that is. And like you pushing out that email, that was you saying, I'm ready to catch this ball. If you want to throw it to me, I'm on the field. I don't care about the defense. I don't care about what they're going to do to me. I'm going to catch this ball. What kind of mindset at the age of 20 do you have to be ready to catch a ball from somebody that you don't even know?
That's ambition, right? I mean, there's certain things that separate people in this world. And I never wanted to settle. And I always wanted to be ambitious and humble in that way, though. I try to be humble in success as well, but that's what it's all about to me, and it hasn't stopped, right? It hasn't stopped. I've been able to create a podcast that I run that's helping a lot of people out there and stick with it. A lot of people started stuff kind of in the COVID year, right? The beginning of 2020 when we were housebound for a lot of people started podcasts or things, and I can tell, look, they tail off after like 8 months. Mine's still going strong with Jon, creating opportunities there. He brought up the idea of doing a book with me like a few years ago. And then he went on to write a few more after that. And I kind of kept on him and kept sending ideas and kept kind of moving the envelope forward to make sure that this book was going to happen. And now we're at a point where I'm about to finish it this week. Like literally this week, I'll finish the draft. And I honestly believe, like, if I didn't kind of keep pushing that a little bit and showing that, hey, we can do this together, it's going to be a great product here, who knows if that would have happened. And I know once this book goes out later this year, it's going to help a lot of teachers and principals and educators run their schools a lot better. But that takes, knowing when to throw that ball, right? And being able to receive it. Same thing you're talking about here. You have to create your opportunities in this world. That's what I've noticed. And I love watching Shark Tank, one of my favorite shows. Just interviewed a guy on my podcast who got a deal on Shark Tank, Alexio Gibson. And I love those entrepreneurs who they're like, listen, there has to be another way, right? And they just create these products, and they're uber successful. It's helping a lot of people. So I just love being able to create, help people, and really try not to take my foot off the gas,
I love that. And I think that that's so important. Create, help, but not take your foot off the gas. And that can be quite difficult. Sometimes that can be extremely difficult, because for you, 6 months later, things just started happening, and it was like, just say yes. But for some people, it may take, what if it takes them a year, or it takes them 18 months? You had the tenacity to like stick with Jon no matter what. And you had to fix your mindset on that for 6 months, and then even still for over a decade in writing this book, right? You're still it's the same thing. You're still throwing out the football. You're like, Jon's going to be at the end at some point in time. He's going to catch this football and he's going to say, oh, the book, let's finish it. And you're throwing incomplete passes. Like, people don't understand how many times you fail through this thing, but failing forward eventually gives you a touchdown.
Exactly. And, look at baseball. Like, I love sports analogies. If you go 1 for 4, like if you have a 300 batting average, you're making $350 million a year. That means that you're getting a hit 30% of the time. You're striking out or lining out or popping up, whatever, 70% of the time. So I mean, 300 hitter. That's what it's about. You have to just kind of keep swinging, you keep working, and it hasn't always been easy. It won't always be easy. There was a period there for, I would say, 2009, probably a year and a half where Jon and I really were not working together. We kind of, the crash in '08 happened, and, we were kind of, I was working for him full time after college and wasn't really liking the role I was in. I was purely doing sales and I wasn't doing much speaking. And, he kind of wanted me to work with a different group that was going to help promote him a little bit. And I went over there and I didn't like it. And I kind of parted ways on my own. I said, listen, Jon, I'm not really liking this sales thing. I don't really like this role I'm in. And I went off and I went to grad school. Like I said, I need something else I need to be working on. So I went to grad school and I ended up getting my master's degree so I could teach. I could teach on the higher ed level. And I still am. I still teach university courses fully online now. But that relationship that Jon and I had we never blew it up. So like we stayed in touch a little bit, even though we weren't, quote, working together and I was in grad school. And he approached me and he said, listen, I'm getting more speaking requests. Can you go up to Michigan for me and do the speaking engagement? I can't do it. Do you want to do it? And I said, what do you think? Yes, right, of course. And that was really the second chapter for him and I. I was his first ever trainer. So I finally, like when I was working for him as an intern and after college, I was really doing sales promotion. I wasn't really speaking. That was the first speaking engagement up in Michigan. And since then, that was May of 2010. Since then, like 12, 13 years later now, it's only grown exponentially. So that's another thing. You're going to strike out a lot. You're going to throw a lot of incompletions, right? And it's not always going to work out well. Jon and I were not always the closest there, right? For that year and a half. I didn't even invite him to my wedding, okay? Because I was a little bitter about kind of how things kind of were with us. But, we never blew up the relationship. We stayed in touch. I got over whatever I needed to get over. He worked past whatever he had to work past, and boom, we were fine. And then from there, it just grew. He would keep offering more speaking engagements, more and more and more and more and more, until I finally said, you know what? I'm going to leave my university job, jump online, and then from there I can do as many as to the moon. So
that's beautiful.
Don't blow up any bridges, people, right? Because you think you're on a path but all of a sudden it doesn't work out as well as you thought. And you know what? I just say you get over it. And what did I tell you earlier, right? Have multiple areas of activity. I pivoted and I went to grad school. And I found a way to get my grad school 100% paid for, by the way. So I was a TA. So they paid for me to go to grad school, and I walked out with a degree that I immediately could get a job with and earn an income with. And then Jon comes back into the picture, and I'm earning an income working with him. Now I got two sources of income going on. So that's why, and I still do. So that's why you gotta, have different things here, different things there. I don't like putting eggs in one basket, right? I kind of have a couple different things working here. I think that's just smart to diversify yourself a little bit. It'll definitely just provide a little more of a support system for you, I would say. So it hasn't always been easy. We're doing well now, but it wasn't 12 years ago. I'll tell you that.
I love that. Every bit of that. There's a lesson in that entire story. Yeah, it wasn't 12 years ago. It wasn't easy 12 years ago. And it was 13 years ago that you and Jon linked back up and you all started moving, and so it must have not been easy for at least a year when you and Jon linked back up, because there was a gap right there, so, I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I know you've got some other things to do. So let me ask you this. What would you say to people, I guess, so I'm assuming, first, I want to make that clear. I'm assuming that when you first, 20, in between that 20 and 21, when you first met up with Jon and everything, I'm assuming that, when you made that contact with him and you started bridging off into those 6 months and things started moving, that you felt that passion and you stated it, you're like, wow, this level, So would you say to other people that when they get that that passion, hits them, that feeling, and they see their purpose in line with their passion, that they should like hold tight to that. Even if they do have to, pivot, like you stated, would you say hold tight to that, or would you say, something different?
Go all in. If you feel like there's a link there, I think people need to get more rooted in their passions, because when you're passionate about something, you're unstoppable. You become a force of nature. You become highly ambitious, real goal driven. The no's kind of tend to bounce off you a little bit because you want to build whatever it is you're trying to build. So I would say go all in and be smart about it. Okay, don't just go and take out a loan for $500,000 and build it. You know what I'm saying? Like be smart, strategic about it. But at the same time, like if you're really passionate about developing a product, starting a company, going after this job, something with your family, like by all means, like we are meant to be passionate people. We are like we are filled with passion. We're filled with the divine, right? And when you're filled with the divine, when you're filled with God and the Holy Spirit, it's a unique feeling that's hard to describe, but you know it when you have it. And I know when I'm on stage, when I'm talking to people, when I'm doing my thing there, man, it's almost like an outer body experience. I'll get done and I'll be like, wow, what did I just say? It's a weird feeling. It really is. And I know God's speaking through me, and I know that's when I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So if you're listeners, you feel like you're passionate about something, trust that God's got you in the right position. He's going to kind of be working through you. And just be open to where that journey is going to go, because it will not be a straight road. And nothing is ever promised to be a straight road at all. But just go along for that journey. Listen to where God's telling you to go. Listen to yourself, but get rooted in those passions. And it's gonna be an amazing ride.
I love it. Last two questions. I think they're pretty simple, I believe. One, how do you feed yourself? Because you mentioned that a while ago. You said that they need to feed themselves. And then the next one would be, what would you leave to the audience?
So feeding yourself, like self-care, is absolutely essential. It's something I preach to the teachers I speak to a lot, who are very servant leadership, right? They're always giving. So for me, it's exercise. I love getting into the gym. I'm in Florida like you, so we can be outside a lot. So I love to walk. I have a family. I have a wife and two boys. We have one on the way, actually. So
wow.
Baby girl along the way, first girl, super excited. But we're a relaxed family. So, I love to work out. I love to play soccer with my boys. We go on family walks, and that really definitely feeds me for sure. And just to be outside and be with my family. And I'm not gonna lie, we're all being honest here. I love a little bit of couch time too, right? A little bit of sports or wrestling or Netflix, just to be able to turn the brain off, because when you're a type of person who's got their foot on their gas a lot, you have to be able to kind of decompress. I need my decompress time. And I think if we can all admit that we need some decompress time, we'll be a lot better. And if you need to go and take that time too, sometimes you have to take your time, right? Meaning not take your time like leisurely, but literally take your time and say, I'm going to the gym for an hour, or I need to veg out for 20 minutes here. I think that's really important. And that kind of leads into, the last thing I would say, to this audience. And I love this question because, the beginning and the ending are always really important of our talks. But I would say to anybody listening here that life really is about mindset. It really is. If you boil stuff down, it's about choice. And I truly believe that, there are some outlying situations, but happiness really is a choice, and relationships are a choice. I get to choose how much time I spend with my kids or my wife, my family. Even you go to your friends, right? I can make the choice to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, how are you doing? You live in another state. Let me check in with a friend. how much time I can put the kids in front of the TV, or I can, like, I had them all weekend. My wife was gone. We barely watched any TV. We watched one movie. I said, let's go out, let's play games, let's play cards, let's do this and that. Relationships they're choices. How much time we put into it. Happiness is a choice. So I would just say, lean into those positive choices and lean into trying to surround yourself with people, books, shows, things like that in your life that are gonna fill you and uplift you, because life's short sometimes, and it's not worth it to be unhappy. So happiness, relationships, or choices, lean into them both.
I love it. I love it, man. That was a fire interview, man. I really have enjoyed you. I enjoy all of your comments. I enjoy the energy that you bring to the screen. Very grateful for you. Everybody, just want you all to know that you can catch Jim, jimvanallen.com, or you can also look up energybuschools.com, and you'll be able to check them out, and that'll be down in the description as well. Jim, if you like to, we'll send you out to the back of the house, and I'm gonna close on out, man. If you want to hang out there, I'll come and talk with you for a little bit more afterwards. But definitely have enjoyed you being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. So long. Everybody, that was Jim right there. And he was absolutely amazing. I mean, the types of things that he was saying is stuff that everybody needs to know more about. And needs to apply inside their lives. And the things that I loved about Jim was that everything was very simple. It was very simple. And it was just that, for him, I believe that his faith had helped him a lot, because he seemed like he leaned a lot into his faith. And he had dry seasons just like anybody else. I love when he told us about how 13 years ago he met up with Jon again and got things going. But then he said 12 years ago, it was a very difficult time. So there was obviously something that was hard, but he overcame that. And now look, in 2023, he's doing fantastic. And he's been on this trek for 17 years. And so sometimes we try to shortcut everything, especially with social media, and if you can't shortcut it, then by all means, that's awesome. Get a coach, shortcut it. But just remember, you got to hold on to what you got, and you got to put a lot of focus into it. I think that Jim gave us a lot of meat. Rewind this thing, check it out again, go see him wherever he is. Remember, no matter where you are, as much as it starts with you, it starts with me. Peace. Grateful for everything that you share with the listening audience today.